it's January, we're down south in Florida. I'm a snowbird flying south for the winter, and a great thing to target this time of year is gonna be offshore grass, and I'm gonna talk to you today about how you find it and also how you go about fishing it. So first things first, you're gonna spend a lot of time behind your screens. I use my Lowrance units big time when I'm locating offshore grass. They're my eyes under the water. My charting is gonna help me locate those areas of where I want to idle around with my side scan, allowing me to look for that actual physical grass, those edges, that isolated clumps, all that kind of thing. One of the first things I'm going to look for are big flats in the contour lines on the lake. Just looking all around, finding those big, long contours, something that's just going to be a big flat. That's going to be my first kind of area that I'm going to look. And I'm gonna idle just zigzagging around trying to find that grass line, and I'm gonna be marking waypoints on the edges and also noting those isolated clumps that come off those edges. It's gonna give something a little easier to target specifically, and then also just those fish like relating to something that's just a little bit of a difference in that grass line. Targeting this offshore grass, one of my favorite ways to do it is hands down gonna be a chatterbait or a bladed jig. I find it's definitely super efficient, and you can cover a lot of water with it. The chatterbait or a bladed jig has hit the scene, you know, a few years back, and it's definitely become a staple in the fishing industry. But a big thing with this technique is gonna be grass contact. And with that, it's gonna come a few different weight sizes that I'm gonna be having to choose from in order to keep that grass contact. And the two things that I'm really gonna be looking at is gonna be how deep I'm fishing. The deeper I am, the heavier of a weight I'm gonna want just to keep that contact with that grass, and also how windy it is. You know, it's gonna help to throw a little bit heavier bait in that wind and keep that bait down there, especially with your line blowing and all that kind of stuff. But those two things is gonna help me determine what size weight I wanna throw on my chatterbait so that I can keep that grass contact. After we did our work behind the wheel, behind the console, we're up here on the front deck, and we're fishing those waypoints, that grass line that we marked back there. And so we're kind of trolling up to it. Our waypoints are gonna be marking those grass edges. So, you know, we're gonna keep our distance a little bit because we're gonna be casting up into those weeds, bringing it off of the edge. And you know, a big thing for me is gonna be letting that bait sink a little bit. Like I said before, grass contact's gonna be huge. So as you get it, let it sink, and I'm gonna be popping it out. I'm gonna reel it slow my retrieve until I hit that grass, pop it out. And 90% of the time on that pop, when that bait's falling back down and rips out of that grass, is gonna be when you're gonna get your bite. I mean, you're gonna feel them hit it. They hit it aggressive. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. Just cast it out there, let it sink down into those weeds, start reeling, slow my retrieve until I get that grass contact, and just popping it out, just like that. Sometimes you'll get into a thick clump, you gotta pop it a couple times, but pay attention. You know, if you get a bite in an area, no matter how big, how small, you know, slow down, fish that area hard, and don't necessarily leave too soon, because in Florida, if that's the biggest thing I've learned, there's fish in that area for a reason, and there's a lot of things that look good in the same thing, but definitely fish around, because there's definitely more hanging around with the one you caught.